What is a minimum viable product, or MVP? Well, it's the minimum feature set you can sell. And it's a good tool to drastically reduce risk in your business creation process. If you think back to school, you've always been told that something is only good once it's free of errors. And you shouldn't make errors, and it should be perfect. But this is not really true in a startup environment, where resources are really scarce and time is crucial. The worst thing that can happen to you is premature optimization. So sticking to something for a very long time, trying to optimize something that is not really needed or required. If you don't work against the right requirements, you may be running out of cash much quicker than you can actually spell the word premature optimization. Let's imagine you want to build a mobility device. Your customer interviews, your observations, and also social prototypes have all yielded at a strong need for people to get from A to B. So how do we build an MVP for that? Would you start trying to sell them cars? Or would you start with something more simple? And we would strongly argue that you start with something more simple, that takes less capital expenditure and helps you in a similar manner to figure out which needs are actually wanted by your customers. So you could think about starting with a skateboard and evaluate needs step by step. The need is that people want to be mobile, get from A to B. The question is, will they also pay for this? For a skateboard, probably not as much as for a car. And you could end up with the result that comfort and safety is much more important as a sales argument than just getting from A to B. When developing software and also hardware, it's important that you develop it iteratively. This means don't fall into the trap of premature optimization, but also think about what can you use that is readily available out there. Piece together existing things, existing source code, existing products, existing gadgets, stuff that you find on the street. Whatever you can use in order to showcase the function of your final product is working for you. In addition, quality is none of your concerns in the beginning. If it's error-free or working perfectly, it doesn't matter. And also the costs. Your final costs, the costs for the products you sell, are a function of the scalability of your products, not of the original resources used for the prototype or for your MVP. So how can you go about this? For software services, if you want to showcase functionality, even if you're not a programmer, just create a presentation, link the slides. Sometimes a good Excel template is good enough. You don't need to be the world's best hacker to showcase the functionality of a UI. The same goes for hardware. Think about what you can do with the workshop of your dad, or think about what 3D printing or a laser cutter can already do for you. There's no need to start with the heavy machinery, with a CNC mill or a wood workshop. You can do that little by little, but only once you've validated the features and that the quality is actually needed. Think about our example, from the skateboard to the car. So you've built something. How do you know you built the right thing? Well, you can find out, but this is more of a research question. And we suggest, in order to find out, you conduct experiments and define real quantifiable measures. Why is that good? Well, because a lot of entrepreneurs fall into the trap of the confirmation bias. So they will only look at things and see things they already think are true. And this is not what you want. You sometimes want to be disconfirmed. So when specifying quantifiable metrics with your team, you can be sure that you have agreed on a common threshold for when something is true. And this is a good way to discuss which features, which type of needs are really the most important ones. So you built something and you measured something. However, learning happens only when the actions that you inferred from the results of your experiments actually lead to improvement in your business creation process. So that you test the right hypothesis, find the right needs, or are able to do all that more quickly. A good way to speed up this process is prioritizing, obviously. So how can you prioritize? And there's two dimensions that we usually think are good for prioritizing features in this setting. You can think about the ease of implementation of one of the features as one dimension. So how quickly or with how little resources you can actually implement this feature now or in the future. The other one is the topic of fit. So how much value or how much competitive edge does a certain feature provide to your business or to your customers? And if you put these features on a matrix, you will find out that you have certain features that you should have, something that you could have, but that there are certain features that are a must-have for your customers. Those are the ones that are very easy to implement, but create high value for your business in the end. That's what we've been talking about before when we said focus on the most important features. So what are actually smart ways to build an MVP? Well, an MVP, a minimum viable product, something that you can sell, doesn't have to be a physical product or a working software in the end. Sometimes other ways are also good to figure out what people are willing to pay for, what they are interested in buying. So for example, think about crowdfunding campaigns. You have a crowdfunding campaign as something that may tell you about the willingness to pay, the amount people are willing to pay for, and also what they're willing to pay for. Here are some other ideas for smart ways to building an MVP. You can, for example, set up a simple web page and track your users' behavior. You can figure out what people are actually interested by whom is going to your website. You can put a shopping cart on the website and put a price to your product. Do that even though it doesn't exist. And the nice thing is, you can trace every little bit on that page. You can do A/B tests, which product color works better than others, which type of features are important. You can really test your value proposition and figure out what is the most important thing that your customers want to hear in the conversation. Probably a little more old school method would be to just sell the product at a local retailer. Why not go to 10 retailers in your town and try and ask them to put your product on their shelves? It's free for them. They're allowed to set the price. The only thing that you request from them is a prominent location within their store. You can then come back after a few days and see what has been sold. Talk to the shop owner and get their feedback. But if you have something really good, you will get a call from the shop owner really quickly asking you to deliver more.